Chairman Ezell, and thank you to our two witnesses for being here today. Over the past year, we have spoken on many occasions about what reconciliation funding is going to do for the Coast Guard. Now that it's being spent, congressional oversight isn't just appropriate, it's necessary more than ever. I am glad that we are now talking about the implementation of policies and projects that have come out of prior Coast Guard authorizations, reconciliation, and the Commandant's vision for the service. But I must say, it can be exceptionally frustrating when the agency refuses to be more transparent, sidesteps the law, or says one thing and does another. Let me give you an example. Congress gave you money to buy C-130s. We then found out from the press that the direction of the former Secretary of Homeland Security, you plan to purchase 2 shiny new G700 executive jets. When you came to brief Congress, you told us, don't worry, we're gonna get reimbursed so we can buy and missionize 6 C-130s and purchase flight simulators. Secretary Noem left, and to my knowledge, you still have not been reimbursed. So I will make my point again. Congressional oversight isn't just important, it is necessary. Now, I want to be clear, I support the Coast Guard, and I want to make sure the service has the resources to fulfill its mission. That means more Coast Guard funding. I could not agree more with the current and former Commandant that you are currently a $20 billion service and deserve that level of funding. I believe all of my colleagues on this subcommittee agree. But as Congress provides more funding and the size of the service grows, the Coast Guard must remain accountable. Congress works, sometimes for years, on negotiating changes to the law based on issues or the needs of the service. Unfortunately, we often have to revisit those laws because the Coast Guard deceptively changes regulations, implements incorrectly, or refuses to enforce altogether. Not only is this frustrating for Congress, but more importantly, this hurts the readiness and resiliency of the service members who rely on steady, principled leadership to do their jobs. Proper oversight and meaningful legislative change depends on trust and transparency, and the Coast Guard needs to do better in this respect. As we move forward with today's hearing, I look forward to hearing an update from the Coast Guard on the implementation of my Small Passenger Vessel Safety Act. In the Elijah E. Cummings Coast Guard Authorization Act of 2020, Congress enacted my bill, the Small Passenger Vessel Safety Act, which included several changes that increased the safety of small passenger vessels. This legislation came following the tragic loss of 34 lives when the motor vessel MV Conception caught fire off of my district. As a result, I have worked to ensure no family loses their loved one again in similar ways. And in the Don Young Coast Guard Authorization Act of 2022, I fought to ensure victims or their families, like the ones from the Conception boat fire, can recoup the damages they are owed when there is negligence. The last update I received from the Coast Guard is that the service was working expeditiously to update regulations and enforce all but one requirement: updates to safety management systems. I look forward to hearing from the Coast Guard today about your efforts to complete full implementation of that law. As I conclude my remarks, I want to say that there is truly no organization like the Coast Guard in the world. Our country is undoubtedly safer because of their service. Every time we call on the Coast Guard, they've answered. I look forward to hearing from the Coast Guard on spending plans, policy changes, and policy implementation. With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Gentleman yields. I now want to welcome